Warning, Arma fanboys, prepare to be triggered in this video by my controversial opinions, which I'm certain you all hate. Enjoy. Good morning, y'all. Welcome back to Captain Could of RC. Today I'm going to show you how I do the chassis swap on my mt10. We're going to be changing out the mt10 chassis for the Pro 4 SC10 chassis from Team Associated. What that's going to do, it's going to lengthen the wheelbase about 2 inches, give you a longer stance, give you more stability at higher speeds, and just make for an all-around better handling truck. You know, everybody likes the Creighton XL builds. This is basically doing the same thing. I'm just lengthening the wheelbase. It's going to be able to handle more power. It's going to be able to put the power down easier, especially around cornering. And it's just going to handle way better, allegedly. And we're going to find that out. So later on in this video, or should I say coming up next, I'm going to show you how I swap the chassis. Towards the end, I got so excited when I was recording this, or when I was building and trying to record, that I forgot to hit the timer when the timer ran out on my recording camera. That I didn't get all the I didn't record all the electronics getting put in, and I forgot to record my screw up on the motor mount. Now, what I screwed up on the motor mount, I'm going to tell you that right now. You have to install the first plate of the motor mount before you install the rear differential and suspension assembly. You have to do that because there's 2 screws that go in that way that connect to the inner plate that I didn't know about, and I put this on before that. So you're going to see that screw up in the video. You're not going to see the repair. You're not going to see me be able to catch the mistake because I forgot to film it because I'm an idiot. But other than that, the build is done. I'm going to go test it. You're going to see the footage of me building it. You're going to see the footage of me testing it. Now you're probably wondering, what body show did you pick for it? Well, that's where the fun is going to happen, my friends. That's where the fun is going to happen. So I'm going to pull this off camera real quick. Oh, bam! How do you like me now? And you're probably wondering why I chose this body show. Well, one, look at it. Would you just look at it? I mean, just look at it. Just look at that. Look at that. Just look at it. Just look at it. Well, that's one reason why I chose it. 2 is because I love this body style. I've always wanted a big rock, but I've had two Arma 3S cars. And this is my opinion. Okay? If you don't like my opinion, that's your problem, not mine. But in my opinion, Arma 3S cars are one of the worst cars to get. I could never get a full battery pack through it. It was always something. A drive shaft would break. The center prop shaft would break. The spur gear would lose its mesh. I'd break an arm. I'd break a camber link. I'd break a fucking an arm. It was constantly breaking, always breaking. I never once got a single battery pack through it. Even in gentle, just gravel road driving, it would break a prop shaft. A rock would creep up under the body, wedge itself in between the motor and the prop shaft, and it would grind down the fucking prop shaft, and the prop shaft would explode. So, I absolutely hate Arma 3S cars. Or, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Arma 3S chassis, I hate. I'm sorry, Arma. I like your 6S line. I think your 8S line is dramatically improving. But your 3S line is an engineering mistake. Okay? You guys need to do something about your prop shaft problems. Maybe you guys fix your arm problems. Maybe you fix the drive shaft problems by now. It's been a few years since I've had one of your 3S cars. Um, the Armor 3S cars have left a very bad taste in my mouth that I will never own one ever again. And I would never recommend anybody to get one unless you're ready for a lot of problems. But I always wanted a big rock. And now I got the better big rock. Yeah. You heard me. You heard me. I know you're listening, you little Armor fanboy. I said it. This is the better big rock. This is the big rock wish it could be. I'm just causing ruckus, y'all. I'm just causing ruckus. But there it is. So yeah. Alright, y'all. Today I'm going to start doing my chassis conversion. I've got the Pro 4 SC10 chassis to lengthen the wheelbase. I'm just going to start taking it apart. Start with this. Now to remove the rear differential, it's just like removing the center differential. You get these 4 bolts on the bottom and the 2 bolts on the top, and the whole rear assembly just comes apart and separates from the chassis. Once you remove those 6 bolts, you grab the rear end, give it a wiggle, and bam, it comes apart just like that. See how simple? Try not to drop your center differential. It helps if you hold the car upside down so you don't drop it. Now I'm disconnecting the servo steering linkage. Leave the servo horn connected. You don't want to disconnect the servo horn because then you'll lose your center. Only disconnect the linkage from the top of the arm. Now I'm going to move on to the the bottom 4 bolts of the front skid plate. After that, you'll move to the top 2 bolts when you flip it over, and you'll be able to pull the front assembly apart very easily. Here I'm just going over the bell crank, making sure it's nice and tight, everything's intact, nothing's loose, and it seems to be okay. Now here's the chassis parts you'll need to do the swap. You'll need to get a team associated chassis kit for the Pro 4 SC10. You're also going to need to get the Pro 4 SC10 center drive shaft to complete the swap. Okay, here's all the parts for it. There's a hairnet. I'm not going to use that. I have no use for it. Here's 2 chassis side guards for the stadium truck. Not sure if I'm going to be able to use that or not, so we'll see later on in the video. It comes with a receiver box, the gear covers, the gearbox center differential cover, and a bunch of screws and the center drive shaft cover. For the front assembly, start with the 2 top bolts, flip it over, get the 4 bottom bolts on the skid plate to the chassis, and then connect your steering linkage. Next, you want to insert the center drive shaft. Make sure it seats inside the front drive shaft input cup, and then install the center drive shaft cover. When installing the rear assembly, it can be a little bit tricky. Go back and see my center differential video on how I twist, shake, and finagle the rear end to get it to line up properly, so you can see it here. Then I start with the bottom 2 large bolts, flip it over, get the top large bolts, and then I get to the bottom small bolts. I don't put in the small bolts at this time because I feel they're a little bit weak, and I don't want to change out the tip in my power tool because I'm lazy. Okay, so now that we got to this point, I forgot to record all of the electronic swap because I got really excited about the build and I was trying to get it done and having a lot of fun building the car. Basically, this is the majority of the build. Sorry I didn't record the rest of it. But now you can see some action clips. Hope you enjoy.
right, y'all, that's going to do it for the Arma, or excuse me, not the Arma. That's going to do it for my MT10. Thanks for watching, y'all.